Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, drawing with hubby
Okay.
and fur babies clicking around on the floor. And today we're going to work on a gradient background. I already started putting the darks in. We see that here. Some areas still need to go darker, like above her head and a little bit more down here. But I wanted to do a gradient effect, kind of like what you see here, just not as, it's going to be blended, not as like cut into shapes and what have you. So for this I used the 18 large on 5.5, just almost to 6. And I started with the large spoon shader, but bumped down to the medium spoon shader to fill in areas because when the wood gets hot, the grain raises. So in order to get in between those areas, I use the spoon shader to blend everything in together. So quickly let's say hello to Greg. I am so sorry you got the vid, Greg. I hope you feel better very quickly. And Sheila and Sonia and Spence and Andrea and Burl. Yay, our peoples are here. Been missing you guys. Alrighty, so I'm gonna give you this. And I know Burl likes the
I
3.
have the power.
You have the power. He likes the Optima 3 to do the dark background. I will give it another go. It is not my favorite pen for that, but it's also not a pen I use very often, so let's see how it goes. Let's see here. I got a piece of tape on it. Do I have a reason? It's a 3B. Sometimes I put tape so I know what's what. And sorry, they heard something. Children. Children. So I'm going to put that at 5.5. Let that heat up real quick. Make sure I'm on the correct side. Yes, I am. Move the cords around and we will get started. I'm going to work up here real quick and then we're going to bump here because I do feel I need some shading here. The light is going to be coming from this direction, which will make sense with the fur that is a bright white. I do feel I need a line here, but I'm going to try to blend so it's not a harsh line. It's more of a soft line. So we are going to get started. So this is the 3B. Again, I don't normally use this one. Burl's here. I'll give her some love. We're going to zoom in. Go. Now, there might have been a little smoke you saw. That was the tip on my test board.
Shirley's here.
Hey, Shirley. Now, I am going to touch down in an area I've already burned. I'm going to try dragging, and I'm also going to do ovals to see what gets me what I want.
What part of the tip are you using?
I'm using the top half of it. Well, when I'm dragging down flat, I'm completely flat. When I'm up against something, I'm more the tip. So it kind of goes back and forth.
What are you using the most?
Right now, I'm going flat.
Flat.
Right now.
So you're going full tip.
Yep. I'm just dragging down over an area I've already burned. I could see where this would work, especially with birch, if the grain's already raised, because again, the heat will raise the grain. That's just how it goes. The grain expands, therefore it raises. So this does seem to do a good job of laying it down a bit. But like with the 18, you have to remember if you're doing a flat drag, you have to lift it up and allow it to reheat, to recapture the heat it was at, to keep that same dark burn. But you can also keep it in contact with the wood, and this is where your pen control comes into play, because now you don't have to lower the heat. In fact, I'll go off somewhere where I haven't burned yet, and because I haven't lifted my pen, to allow it to reheat, it burns much lighter. But the minute I lift it for a second and readjust my hand, it's going to burn darker, like that. So that is a part of the pen control when I'm talking about it.
I think that was very well put.
I hope so. Could you see it well?
Yeah, you could see it well.
Because I'm
just letting you know, you're not off camera, but
I'm off camera. Well, that's just sorry, guys.
No, you're getting close.
I'll do this.
Off.
How about that?
You can see the tip. That's the thing. So.
I thought you were talking about me. You're talking about the burner.
I was talking about the work. Like I always look and see like where the pin is and how that is in relation to everything else. So I was a little concerned that you were going to be going off camera.
So because I had the pin lifted longer because I was readjusting for everything, right there it caught in between the grain and went darker. But I can blend it in. So I'm not going to stress about it. Not a big deal. Do dark backgrounds take longer? Yes, they do. Is it worth the time that they take? Yes. For a lot of pieces, I think so. Now, I am getting a little bit of carbon buildup. It's not a whole lot. I don't feel resistance to my drag.
Oh.
What's wrong?
The door closed. That's why.
Oh, that's why they're not in here. So I will just keep going.
Hey.
And then, so I could see why Burl, excuse me, likes the 3B for a dark background.
Layla was like, "Oh."
You let him back in.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
For birch.
Yes, I see you. Yes.
I definitely can see it. Now we see a difference in color there. When we move it, we can see that it darkens, but right now you can see where it's darker here. I'll have to use a spoon shader to blend that together.
What a big smile.
I mean, I can use this tip, but I gotta remember I have to lift it. Now with the smaller tips, I don't have to have the heat up as high. I'm at 5.5.
So, like any kind of art, you have to
No. We're not talking.
You have to understand a little bit of the science behind it in order to be a better artist, I think.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do. But I think for pyrography, you have to understand a little bit of thermodynamics.
Turn that off and let it cool down for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the medium spoon shader, which Pat has it listed as numbers. I don't remember the numbers. And I'm just going to leave it at 5.5. It's going to burn real dark. But the other pen is already cooled off, so I can quickly, let's see here.
For those that don't know, about how long does it take for a pen to cool off?
For an Optima pen to cool off?
Sure.
Maybe 10 seconds.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
In order to clean it. Yeah, I'm touching myself with it, and it's cool. So this is my strop. It's got aluminum oxide on it. Doesn't need a whole lot. I'm going to swipe down on the aluminum oxide a couple of times, and then I'm going to swipe in an area that doesn't have it, and my tip is clean. Now it will discolor, because that's just what happens. Run my nail over it. Do it on camera.
Are you running your nail over it?
Because carbon, you'll feel it raised, and if your nail runs smooth over it, there's no carbon, even though you see some gray discoloration. There is no carbon.
It's kind of like when you're doing the dishes and you're
running your fingers over it.
Make sure there's no food left.
Yep. Alrighty. So same temperature. I'm just switching over to the 23 medium, and now I can go in between and darken any areas and blend them together. Is that necessary? No. do I get over focused on making sure it's all blended well? Yes, I do. If you're fine with how it looks, you don't need to do this. I prefer to do it. It just allows me to bring everything together, but you don't have to. What works for you will work just fine. I do recommend turning down your heat, because if you notice, I have no charred areas. If I put my tip any higher, it would char.
Earl says 23. Any new tips on the horizon?
No, I haven't talked to Pat about any new tips.
Gotcha.
No, I am trying to convince Pat. In fact, he told me to ask people, and I just hadn't gotten around to it.
Better ask him.
Yeah, Greg has seen kind of my mock-up, so he's got an idea, but that's not how it would look in the end, of doing a digital Optima, a true digital Optima. It's something he's looked at doing for a very long time, and the biggest issue he's having is finding a case that he likes to fit everything in. And when I say digital, talking about Wi-Fi, hooking it up to your phone so you can control it from your phone.
Well, that's fancy.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary, but hey, if you can do it, why not? You never know. Having the presets different than what you've seen with the razor tip. And other things that I have requested that I would like to see happen.
Morgan, are you melting? I'm just petting you.
And to be able to do multiple pins with one unit. And a lower price point than another brand.
Morgan melted.
But the analog Optima would not go away. So,
Gotcha.
and being able to use the same pins that you already have. That is a big deal. So you don't have to buy new pins or new cords. Well, I don't know about cords, so I may be speaking.
There's a lot of grain showing through in this.
There is, because it's birch. But that's why I'm having to blend it.
Oh. It's not unpleasant.
No, it's not unpleasant, but right here I want it really dark, and then it's going to go lighter.
Huh.
So
You can just really see that grain on on camera.
I need to get rid of this line. It needs to be blended out. The 3B went really dark right there when it caught. So I'm just going to... And I'm trying to do small circles to keep it tighter. But I can always go back over this with the 18 and smooth things out. Again, you don't have to keep going over it, but it does look better if you start out with a lower temperature and build up your dark. Because then you don't have to worry about the charred areas that will happen along the edge, or if, you know, you have a brain fart and you're not paying attention. Because backgrounds can be very... Doing the dark background for me is like doing stippling. I have to be careful because I start doing this because it's so repetitive over and over again. And my brain's like, you can close your eyes for a second. Your hand's still going. And just, that's not safe to do. But I did catch myself doing that with this background.
Oh.
So I had to stop and walk away. But because I'm talking, where, you know, if I'm dozing off, I'm not talking, I'm burning. I'm going to switch back over to 18.
I must say, it's nice to have everybody here with us today.
It is.
It's so good to see you all.
Missed everybody.
What projects are you working on? Has anybody got anything cool going?
Greg's been burning a lot. He's been doing a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Burl is probably still playing with her soap, which is fine. Which is why she's mad at me, because I haven't tried soap yet.
I will try this
Alright, so I'm at the same temperature. I'm just using the tip so I can get a bigger area and blend this out.
Apple soap, she says.
Apple soap, huh? Is that what you wash your soap in, or your apples before you eat them?
That's what you clean your phone with.
Oh. We don't have Apple products.
Oh. We need some Android soap.
Yeah. You see, I'm just going back and forth, and that's how the dark part, how I built it up. Remember, my speed is what controls how hot anything is. Because if I stop, lift my pen, and start dragging, it's going to burn darker. But I kind of need to get rid of this line. So I'm going to go ahead.
No, the soap looks like an apple.
Oh.
Oh, that's cool.
Now I'm got my pen twisted just a little bit so I can use the leg and make it a wider stroke. And keep things together. For smaller areas this way does work. But I found, and I just realized I haven't cleaned this pen since I've been doing the dark background. No.
No, it'd be nice. Okay.
And when I'm trying to blend, I start in a circle and then I work my way out from that circle, trying to keep the same tone. So this area here needs to go darker. And remember, on screen it might look a little lighter, but that's how the lights are hitting it. When I bring it down and angle it, that's not nice, you guys. It gets darker. Plus, when I go to, when I varnish it, it will also get darker. Somebody gave me an unwanted gift.
Oh.
That's what that was about.
I did not smell it.
I also found, while doing this dark background, that flipping the board, I'm going to angle it, actually burned better.
Shirley's been building sheds to organize and store her art supplies.
Cool.
Sheds.
Sheds.
That's a lot of art supplies. Unless they're small sheds, like boxes. Then she would
You
say
mean
boxes.
containers?
Yes. I feel like sheds. That's a lot.
This isn't the best angle that I wanted to show. But actually this wood burns better dragging down. I do feel like I need to clean my pen. Again, I forgot to clean it before the live. So we will quickly...
Well, it's not something you normally have to do that.
No, I don't have to clean my pens very often. I just feel a little bit of resistance, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of carbon on it.
Spence says, I always get a spot that looks shiny compared to the areas around it
Yes.
when trying to burn a dark background.
If you notice, I built this up, but it does get shiny. It's almost like graphite. See, there's the shine right there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it. Try to build it up in the other areas so it looks even. Because when you go to varnish it, it's going to even all that out. So, as long as you're varnishing, it won't be noticed.
Shirley says, lots of arts and crafts supplies. Okay.
I've got 2 rooms.
Sheila has got too much going on to burn.
Yeah.
Oh no. Or okay, good, I guess.
Oh.
That's gonna be tough. We'll be thinking about you. I hope it's not too bad.
That means she didn't come up clear. I'm sorry, Sheila.
Yeah.
May all our love heal you.
Yeah.
Alright. So now I just wanted to show how I've been working on the dark. And that's more time consuming. Although, there could be a good argument for the lighter part of the burn being harder and keeping it even. Because with the dark, you can kind of hide things. You know?
Well, I've got a question. So, like, let's say you get a shiny spot like he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Will that go away when you varnish it?
Everything else, depending on what gloss you're using, what kind of gloss, which I use gloss, so I don't have to worry about it. Everything else will become shiny. With matte, it will cut down the shine.
Oh, okay.
But, excuse me, but I don't like for my pieces. Again, if you're using matte and you like it, keep using it.
I was just curious because if it was an issue for somebody that
Well,
might...
think about your acrylics.
Yeah.
You know how some of them are shiny when they dry and some of them aren't? And then when you varnish it, it equals everything out.
Yes.
Same concept.
Okay.
Same exact concept. Alright. So I do want some shading in here, but not dark. So I'm going to actually turn down to 4 and use the same pen. I don't think I need to switch pens, but I do need to adjust my board because I'm cutting in here. And the reason I want sunburn is because I have light fur right here and this will help it stand out. But I don't want it super dark. One, I don't have time, and two, I think it makes it more interesting for this piece to have a gradient versus a solid background.
That makes sense. Just so you know, Roxy's ear is like right under a wheel.
Okay. So I've bumped down to 4. I'm using just the tip.
And when you get a chance, read Sheila's comment.
Okay. Mapping out where I want my shadow. And what we're going to see is it starts shaping her face. Let's see, where's my fur line? There's my fur line. Before it gets lost. You know what? Doesn't mean I'm gonna worry about you any less, Sheila. That's what I do. I will still be thinking about you, but I am glad that this part is curable. In fact, I told you yesterday that I miss Sheila burning, but I completely understand why she's not burning.
Yeah.
Alright, so we start seeing, and I can go through and scratch out any fur if I need to, or draw it in, but I just wanted to show her face starts popping out.
Which tip are you using right now?
This is the 18, and I'm using just the tip.
Just the tip. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see here, how far, okay, that's part of her body right there. So I'm just going in small ovals, and then I'm gonna blend it out so it's more of a gradient. But I do feel she needed some shading right here. And then as I want it to lighten up, I just speed up my pen and drag it out. I'm gonna need to smooth it out next to her head, but for now.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just...
Hmm?
So Andrea hasn't been burning because of eye issues.
Oh.
But she's waiting on her new glasses to arrive.
Oh, good.
And then she can get back to art.
Yay.
Still watching the live, though. And we appreciate it. We appreciate you here. That is a big deal.
I wonder if he knows about the dental.
About the dental.
Mm-hmm. If you're 100% VA.
Oh yeah, I'm going to my first dental appointment in over a decade.
And not in the Army.
And not in the Army, yeah. So I get to see my first non-Army dentist today. But I found out, because I didn't think I was covered, because TRICARE does not cover dental, if you understand what that is. It's a military-affiliated healthcare system for civilians. But it turns out that if your percentage is high enough, you get 100% disability through the VA, that your dental is covered, and you can see a local dentist, or you can go to your local VA healthcare facility.
If they have dental work.
If they have dental facilities, you can go there. So I did not know that until a week ago, and so I was super happy, but I'm also conflicted because who likes going to the dentist? And I know I got issues with my teeth.
But at least your issues are covered.
Yes, they're covered.
But it took your counselor telling you because the VA hadn't told you.
Yeah. Burl spent 3 hours at the dentist yesterday. I have no idea how long I'm going to spend today. But they close at 5. So, but if they close too close to 5, I'm not going to be able to go to class.
Mm-hmm.
Because class starts at 5:30 today, I think.
He's going to be numbing your mouth. I didn't expect you to go tonight.
Huh?
Alright, so now we can start seeing her face starting to come out. I do think I need it a little darker, but I'm going to wait on darkening that part because I need to see how dark I get the bottom down here as I'm hitting you in the face with my pen. Darkness down here versus the darkness here. So I'm going to give that a moment. So while my tips spin off, I'm going to, let's see here, how did I do the shadow under her tail? I'm still in the same heat setting.
Yeah, Sheila, I was super happy because this all started because I broke a crown, and I went and saw a dentist, but it would have been $2,000 to get it fixed, and that's not money that we have. So I was kind of just committed to like, well, I'm gonna lose that tooth. So, but maybe I get to keep it. So that would be pretty sweet.
Alright, and I think in my drawing I did it here under her paw. I'm just marking where I want the shading for this area. Is going to need to go darker. Alrighty, so how am I going to do this part darker and this part lighter? I actually need to up my heat. I'm going to go ahead and up it to 5. Yeah. And I drew a line here. I know it's hard to see, especially since the camera's angled. There's a line here, and that's where I visually want a soft line as if he's sitting on something. So that's how I know this is darker and this is lighter. Alrighty. I'm going to touch down where I've already burned. You can see how hot that was on the initial touch down, which is fine because I needed to darken this area anyway. So I'm not going to stress. It can all be blended out. I'm going to go up against this paw, and now I'll be able to start erasing. Now this paw is like really white right here. That's why I haven't burned it yet.
Sheila says, ouch, no wonder you waited. At least in the UK we have the NHS, no matter how bad it may be. You know, I said the same thing because people always complain about the Army. Like, oh, I gotta go see an Army dentist, or oh, I gotta go see an Army doctor. But the thing that people take for granted is that, you know, they get to see a doctor or a dentist, and most times those guys are actually pretty good. So, you know,
they're officers.
That's, but yeah, but people complain about it, but you know, you complain about it till you don't have it. So
that's right. See, now that shows right here that the shadow I put in needs to go darker. Right now I'm just using the tip to get into some smaller areas so I can shape it.
Yeah, those things hurt me as well, Burl, the bite wings.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, we've gotten off topic here. I'm talking about dental x-rays now.
Yeah,
And
I don't.
I'm super looking forward to getting the bite wings and, you know, and then the x-ray. And say, wait a minute, this is harmless, right? Yes, of course it is. Now wear this lead vest while I go into an entirely different room. I have questions.
I think I'm actually going to. That came. I'm actually going to switch over to the 3. Do I want the 3? Let my pin fall too far.
What is the 3?
I'm trying to decide if I want the. Sometimes this happens and I have to do it that way. I'm trying to decide if I want to go with the large spoon shader or the 18M. I'm okay if there's some texture right here because then it looked like he was sitting on something, so I'm not so worried about the texture here, but I'm not liking how that's burning right now, so I'm just going to switch pins because sometimes there's some parts of the grain that likes a different pin better. I don't know what that's about. I guess sometimes.
However it works. It works.
You see, we have a dark area right here, so I have to decide how dark I'm going. So this is the large spoon shader. And I'm up on the edge. And you'll see there's a lot of times I will stop doing the ovals and go with the direction of the grain.
Why is that?
Just to smooth things out. Just to blend it out. This is fitting in between the smaller grain better than the 18 because it's a smaller tip. But then when I see that it's skipping some grain, I can do ovals with the grain, and I know that seems odd, but I've turned my board so my grain is going this way, and I'm doing ovals, long ovals, not short ones. It's the only way I know how to describe it if you can't see it very well.
Okay.
And see how fast I'm going? It's burning lighter.
Yeah.
I think pin control, burning wise pin control, and feeling comfortable with your heat settings, I think is probably the best way to improve burning.
I you know, from the limited amount of burning that I've done, I would say that that's absolutely the truth because because not having pin control, as I don't, I definitely saw that it would have been useful to be able to understand that better.
As I'm pulling out the lights, I tend to start in the dark and then move out to the light as my pen cools because the wood is a heat sink and it soaks up the heat from your pen. So when I want to darken, I lift, touch down in a dark area, and then move out to the area I wanted. Just start putting in. And the longer my pen is in contact with the wood, the lighter it's going to burn. Totally normal. That's just how wood burners work. But remember, it's always easier to darken than it is to lighten. So use that to your advantage. You haven't seen me lift, and because even though I'm on a higher heat setting, it's not burning as dark, and if it's not burning as dark, I'm not getting as much carbon buildup. If I'm not getting as much carbon buildup, I'm not cleaning my pins as much, which means they last longer. Because even with a strop and the aluminum oxide, you're still taking off microscopic, small particles of the metal. A whole lot less than if you're using sandpaper or the tea strainer method, but you still are. So the less amount of time you have to clean your tip, the longer it will last. And see, I haven't lifted at all. It's keeping it a light burn. And because I'm overlapping the strokes, the ovals that you'll see in the beginning start going away. So I don't have to worry about that texture as much. And I can always go back over it to darken. But I think this tonal value that I'm at right now is the tonal value I want for up above.
Okay.
So I think that tells me this is all going to go darker. I don't think it needs to go too much darker, just darker. And I'm still going with the grain of the wood to get a smoother burn. That's one of the reasons I don't like burning with gloves, and again, that's all, personal for whoever's doing the work, because I can't feel the wood. If I can feel the wood, I'm more connected with the wood. If I'm more connected with the wood, I'm paying attention to what my pen's doing, and if I'm paying more attention to what my pen's doing, as in the feeling that I feel in my hand, I can make those minor adjustments. But if you're wearing gloves, you don't feel some of the differences in the minute differences in the grain, or how the pen is necessarily running across the wood. And I feel like it takes away from the burning experience. Again, if you wear a glove, nothing wrong with that. That's why you don't see me wear a glove. I will, if my pen's super hot, and it absolutely can happen, I will put my pen down and let it cool off for a second before wearing a glove. But even though the Optima pens get hotter, they do. They stay cooler in the hand. Like, I can feel some warmth in my fingers holding the pen, but it's not anything uncomfortable. And if it is, then I just quickly just change my grip a little bit, like you just saw me do, and it's fine. But because I lifted my pen, I need to touch down in an area that's already been burned. You're less likely to get that dreaded blob if you touch down, even for half a second, just to allow everything to even out before you drag out into the area you want to burn. But yeah, I think this shade needs to go up here. I think this needs to go darker. So because I've already got this area burned in, I'll slow down my pen. I haven't raised the heat. I'll slow down my pen, readjust my hand, just in small movements. If you're not watching my hand, you wouldn't notice I've done it, I don't think. I don't notice it. A lot of times it's just me readjusting my hand. But it's just split second. And it allows me to darken up and continue. The more I go over an area, the more even it's going to be. But we see how this is more even. That's what I want for up by her head. So, since I know this is doing that, I'm going to touch down
I am constantly astounded by how smooth of a gradient that you can get. Because I know how difficult it is to do. You know, I mean, getting smooth gradients is difficult in a lot of different mediums. Maybe not so much in charcoal or graphite, but like when you're painting, it's definitely a challenge to get that perfectly smooth gradient. But having done some pyrography with you, I know it's really difficult to do to get that smooth. So I'm impressed.
the oval stroke. I think does so much in that and allowing things to smooth out and what have you. That is the biggest stroke that I do, the main stroke I do, if I think about it, especially in shading, is this oval stroke. And that's because if I stick to it, I know it's going to smooth out. So it is like, but this is also the way graphite artists will fill in an area.
Yeah.
And since I started with graphite, I think that's why the stroke became automatic for me.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. In some way, I think that we all build off of our previous experiences. So, depending on what your background is, you're going to adapt to do what you need to do. But you're going to adapt from what you know. So, I think that's really important to know. And I think most people here who are artists, like I feel as an artist, like most people have used graphite as an artist.
At some point.
Because that is the
Cheapest.
it's the least expensive thing that you can do. Because all you need is something to draw on, and you need a pencil, you know, and there's all kinds of pencils. I remember, like, during deployments, there would be sometimes that I didn't have access to art materials. And so, but I would have access to pens and pencils because the Army has them, and emery boxes. And I would end up sketching on emery boxes in the worst case scenario. Now, most deployments I would be prepared and I would have a sketchbook. But sometimes, you know, didn't have it. And, yep, so that's all you need, really. Just 2 things.
Well, that's why I recommend if somebody can't sit and burn because they're having, you know, health issues, a sketchbook and a pencil, and practice your drawing and your shading. It'll keep some of the muscle memory for when you go back to burning.
Yep. And I would also submit that if you become very good at gradations in pen control with pyrography, if you go back and do work with charcoal or graphite, that your control will probably be much improved.
Yep.
Because there's also an element of patience that you have to learn as well. And that's going to carry over across all of your different disciplines.
I may have to reshape that area. I need to look at the reference, but for right now, it's fine.
I gotta stop talking so much. I forgot I put people to sleep. Sorry.
That's his superpower.
Yep.
And Sergeant O's
That's me.
certain voice comes out. It has the ability to actually knock people out.
Yep. When I get into instructional mode where I'm explaining things, there's just something about the way that I talk that just puts people to sleep.
And I've told him to start an ASMR channel for that very reason, and he'd probably be super popular.
I just read Army manuals.
It'll put everybody to sleep. I think you'd be so popular doing that.
Today we're going to discuss...
Don't do it to them. They can't fall asleep while burning.
2320 map reading and land navigation.
They can't go to sleep burning. Don't do that to them. All right, so we can see I've
everybody will
darkened
wake
that.
up later. It'll be dark, and YouTube will still be on.
I need to take that pen tip away so I can show. Where are they at? Where's my pen tips?
I was just on them.
Oh,
See,
there we go.
you could have asked me to do it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
my
going to back
job.
it off just so we can see that I have some shading here. This, I think, definitely needs to go darker.
Yeah.
But I like what this is right here. It looks a little orangey on camera. As it shouldn't.
It might be that. You think it looks orangey? It doesn't look it to me.
I'm just going to bump it down just a little bit because it is birch.
Okay.
There we go. So I like the shading here. It might actually still go a little darker, but I don't think it needs to go too much darker there. So that means I need to work on this area, knowing now this is about what I want this area to be like. So like that ish. So all this needs to go darker. And now my pen's been resting in its holder. So I'm going to touch down an area I've already burned. But I could also switch over to the 18 large. I tried the 18 extra small because it requires less heat to go dark. I didn't like how it moved across the grain. So that's why I'm not using that to darken. I just didn't like the feeling of it. Although in this area it could be okay. I do have a lot of pens. In fact, I think I got most of them. But there's certain ones that I specifically use for certain things. For dark backgrounds, for me, it would be the 18 large and some spoon shaders. Like the large spoon shader and either the small or the medium. And the reason the smaller one is just so you can get into smaller areas. So I'm going to cut this pen, switch back over, and it was getting a little warm, so I'm going to give it a break.
Thank you, Spence. Yes, please remember to like. If you're here for the first time, please remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. And it doesn't cost anything. So,
Okay.
what are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for my pen to heat up. Oh, you're not talking to me.
I'm not talking to you.
You're not talking to me.
I'm talking to you, brother.
Alright. So I'm at 5. Still going with the grain. And I'm using the top half of the tip.
The top half.
Yeah, it's...
So you're using the half tip. Wait, are you using the heel of it?
No, I'm not using the heel.
Okay.
I might have to up this just a little bit. Or slow down my stroke, because I do need to get going. And I think that's why a lot of people turn up their heat and doing a dark background, because they're in a hurry. They're trying to get it done.
Patience.
Yeah. See if I can bring this over together.
That's one thing that you cannot afford to have is impatience.
No.
Not if you're burning in this style. There's different ways of burning, and
There.
you certainly could crank up the heat and burn much quicker, but the chances of having a catastrophic
The burn will be less smooth.
yeah, and if you have an accident, it's much less likely that you'd be able to sand it back or repair it. So, I mean, it depends on what you like. But if you
And the project itself, the subject.
I would say that if you want to be precise and that you want to build values in a traditional manner, that this is the way to go. Because it's also a lot easier on the equipment, and you're not working as hot, so you're not going to have a lot of fumes and smoke and things like that. You're still going to have some.
No, I'm on 5, but because of how I'm using my pen, I don't have any smoke.
Yeah.
Alright, so I had talked about doing the hot air for this piece. And there is a reason. If you didn't see my short the other day, there's a reason why I'm doing it this way.
Sonia has to go. She
Bye,
says thank you
Sonia.
for a good class.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for being here, Sonia. We appreciate it.
We've
Appreciate
missed you. Behind you, in the top right cubicle, on the right side, there's a piece of birch.
Is that the circle?
Yep. That would be it. So I tested, like I said I would last week, the hot air on the Trekell board, on a Trekell board, not this one, to find out how it would do with the heat. And it was a very disappointing result. Now, before I got to show this, I might still use the heat to smooth out and darken some dark areas that are already burned, that I can hit quickly, and that way I don't cause this issue. But this is the heat gun and the hot air attachment on the torch, and we can see it lifted. Now, granted, this is sanded thinner than this is, but it came up, it split right here, and I was like, and I didn't even get it as dark as I wanted. Let's see here if you can see if I can get it even. See, you can see the lifting here. I was hoping you could see the...
Turn it around, I think you can see it better. Yeah, you could really see it there.
Yeah.
That's no bueno.
So that's why I didn't do it with this one. But I think I can hit, excuse me, some of these areas, and I'd still be safe because I was trying to get as dark as I could, and because I'm just working in a small area, that's what caused this, which is what I would have to do if I didn't use my pen. But since my pen's here, I can actually skip, I think, some areas. In fact, let's find out. I am going to step on the ledge.
And that is all, well, okay.
I'm just using the torch right here.
And that's also why it's important to know whether your board is laminated or whether it's a solid piece.
There we go.
Because a solid piece is not going to do that. But a
No.
laminate board just might,
So
because that delaminated is what it did.
Yep. I'm making sure the air is hot before I even...
Well, you're really living on the edge here.
I am. Remember, this also does a different color.
It does. It's like a...
It makes it matte.
Does it?
Yeah.
And I think it's like a cooler color.
Yeah.
Than the pen.
More gray.
Which is interesting because, like, you're only dealing with the sepia tones and the browns of the wood being burned, but there's different values of that. There's different, it'll depending on whether it's hot air, a torch, or a pen tool, you're going to get different planes of different tones out of it, and I think that's interesting because you would think that it would just be the color of the wood, but it's not.
No.
It actually is a little bit different.
I'm trying not to stay in one place and to lift up and back off.
So the light that you see on there,
That's the flame, but it's inside the tip.
yeah, so you're not putting the direct flame onto it.
No.
That tip just kind of focuses it. But I think this is cool, personally, because that light from the flame acts as kind of a sighting device for you.
It does.
So you kind of know where that heat is going. You don't have to guess.
And I am pulling it further back because I'm nervous. So I'm being more cautious.
But I mean, it is giving it a richer tone, I think.
Do we see a difference in...
I mean, I do. I mean, I can see it happening.
Try not to burn my background.
Here. Come on, Morgan.
But I can also use it to darken areas of the fur where the shadows would overlap. Now, if I think about when I was testing, the grain, the cracking and whatnot happened with the heat gun, not with the torch.
I think the torch is a little more focused.
Well, that and I was trying to keep it in one spot to darken.
Yeah.
Whereas right here, I'm just moving around. Letting one area cool off a little bit.
See, and I think what happened with the heat gun is that because it's a laminated piece, that heat loosened up or dissolved the glue.
Yep.
And which caused it to delaminate. It's actually in automotive work, if you're trying to remove like bumper stickers and things like that, you use a heat gun because it'll help delaminate. It'll help remove the glue from the stickers and help the stuff come off easier.
Yeah,
So,
I think I'm gonna stop there. Not push my luck.
yeah.
But I do feel like it darkened a little bit
It did. I could see it.
and evened it out a little bit. This
I can
area
see it.
still needs to go darker and blend it out.
Plus,
It's hot.
Anytime the torch comes out, that's always entertaining.
I left my pin on. So touch down. Hot area.
I think it really darkened it up.
The reason I didn't go over into this area is because I don't want the gray.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's one thing to go over an area I've already burned, but any brand new area I didn't want it to gray out. And it might have cut the shine down a little bit, but again, when I go to varnish, that'll all even out. So, I have to get this done.
Yeah, because Burl asked.
I have to get all of this in this week. And then
When's it going to be submitted by, though? That's Burl's question.
August 31st by midnight.
Whew. Okay. Well,
So next week is going to be just cleaning up and darkening because everything will be blocked in. So it'll be all the
goodness.
final things I need to do to it.
yeah. So I guess you're going to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the background you saw that was already in at the beginning of the live, I'd spent 2.5 hours on.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get the rest of this in, and it's going to be lighter, so that'll be a little easier once I get into a groove. It's a little different because I'm on camera, so I'm trying to do 5 things at once, or at least think and move my hand at once, kind of like chewing gum and walking.
Yeah, but you do it well.
But when it's just me and I can put my music on and I can just go, it goes quicker. I just have to get to that. See, all this needs to go darker. I think this tonal value for this side. And then, oh, somebody just did it again. Up here, where it's lighter, I can still use this pen on this heat setting. Again, I just had to move faster.
Gotcha. Well, we're coming up on noon.
What time's your dental appointment?
It's at
2?
2, but I'm going to have to leave here probably about 1:15 because traffic is terrible around that time. I've already filled out my forms, but I'm going to have to go in a little bit early to make sure that those are okay because there were some things that I couldn't fill out.
Gotcha. So, I almost wonder if some of it can blend off into nothing up here, but I'm not sure about that until I actually give it a go and see what I like. See, I'm back over on the dark side. Smaller strokes. A little slower. But all this, if I'm looking at the mock-up I did, and that's what this photo is right here, is a mock-up on your screen, to see what I like. This all needs to blend out into a dark yet lighter area, and it'll blend into light here. So to go light, oval strokes. I highly recommend, especially if you don't feel comfortable with your pens, which I know everybody here does, in the chat. But if you don't feel comfortable with your pens, taking a piece of wood that you plan on burning the same kind that you plan on doing a burning on, and just do gradients. Just practice your gradients, because you'll practice your pen control. You'll learn your heat settings as to what tip does what, and you can practice different strokes and go, okay, when I drag down that was too dark, but if I do it this way at this speed, I get this color. And you'll find that the shading of your work will grow by leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Being comfortable with your pen, liking your pen, I think it's up there with pen control.
Yeah.
You don't like your burner, you're not going to spend time with it. You don't spend time with it, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
It's like anything. If you want to be a master of whatever art that you are pursuing, you have to spend time with it.
Yeah. I'm just quickly switching over to the extra large screen shader.
Okay.
And then same heat setting. Actually, I'm going to go up to 5.5 because I can run my hand quicker.
So your Optima has dual cords on it,
Mm-hmm.
so you can literally
switch.
You can put one pen on the holder so it's not burning anything, and then take another pen without unplugging that other one, and you can plug in another one.
Yep.
That's nice.
Is it necessary? No, because the Optimas are all fixed tip pens, so it's just a matter of unplugging a pen. So if you can't afford a dual, the single is definitely a way to go. Pick up a couple of your favorite pens and just start practicing. I still need to get all the reviews done of the other burners. See, I went pretty harsh there, so I'm going to have to do a lot of blending to work it out.
Morgan is actually on your chair now. She's on the wheels.
Oh, at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well,
She's
as soon as
using
you
it as a
move, she'll
pillow.
move. So I've slowed down, keeping the circles more tight, because I'm trying to blend out that line.
I really like that paw.
What, that? That's the only paw that's in right now.
Well, yeah, but I really like it. It looks really good. Both of them do, actually. But the one that's more towards the camera is really well
That
defined.
one.
It's really cool because you can see the structure of the paw and how the fur lies and stuff. Andrea says looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, we want her to pop. So we know right here, I'm just using the tip, just so I can get.
So that's like a spoon shader, right?
Mm-hmm.
So since you're just using a tip, you gotta angle up more, don't you?
Yep. Not too much, actually. You can, but you don't have to.
Okay.
I'm just bringing it down so we can see this a little bit darker.
How much longer are you gonna go?
I'm about to finish up.
Okay.
You got your appointment. Alrighty. So next week I'll have all this background in. I'll have, hopefully have the bone blocked in as well. And it'll be doing final details, because what's next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday. Hold on, I'm looking. Next
Ooh.
Tuesday is the 30th.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I'm going to be pushing it close.
Yeah.
It'll be final details. I didn't realize that I've got only until next Wednesday. I mean, and if I don't get it done, that doesn't get submitted, but I still, by the time it's done, we'll have a beautiful burning of Morgan, so I'm not going to kill myself over this. Stressing out. I hope YouTube doesn't hit me for saying that, because that's not how I meant it. But it's YouTube, so who knows? So, can I back up?
Yes, you're free.
I just want to back this out so we can see how she's looking from a distance.
I think it looks really good. Definitely from the time that you, I mean, because you already had done some of it, it looks a lot richer than what it was when we started.
Yeah, I need to fix this because it's pretty harsh, but as I blend it out around here, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I like that. Now we can start seeing how the nails are kind of hidden in the shadows. This might go a little darker here, but this part of the area, it's not going to go any darker than here, than what I've already done right here.
Yeah.
And I do think this tonal value, it's right in here, needs to be the rest of it.
Okay.
Or, I guess it's about this on this side. I think it needs to be about this in order to make sense, because what this little light is because her paw is angled up. There's a beam of light coming through here. That's why we've got all the white right here. So, looking at the reference photo, that's how it is. That's why I went ahead and did that, was to leave that spot where I didn't do it here. I think it reads better. And kind of breaks it up so it's not so dark for the whole thing. So that means this side needs to be this, but then as it gets to the light, it'll go lighter. Does that make sense? So probably the same. Is my camera getting the bottom? There we go. Is down here. That's what's going to go to this line right here. Yeah. Well, you'll see next week, because I will have it done, and then we will do final details, and that includes adding the white, because after the live next week, I'm going to have to spray it with the workable fixative and do a coat. I'm just going to do a couple of coats of varnish. 3. That should be enough to get the rich color of the burn that I want. Wow.
Sorry.
Well, having it finished enough.
I was reading chat and my hand was...
Hi.
Apple...
Is it Apple Mose? My eyes are
Mose,
blurry.
Art and Photography. Hi, just came in. Apple Mose, you
Welcome.
came at the end.
I know,
We'll be back next week.
Yeah,
So
next
please come
Tuesday. In
back.
fact, next Tuesday is the last
But welcome.
public live. Then it goes to members only live. But I've been posting shorts. The same shorts I post on TikTok. They've been going on YouTube. But we can talk about all that next week. Do we need to do anything fancy for the last public live?
I don't know.
Consistent
We'll talk
public
about
live?
it.
Alright.
We don't make too big a deal out of it, otherwise people will think that...
I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
No. I'm kind of thinking one public live a month that's only critiques. Only critiques. That way I can spend as much time with the Super Toasties as possible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I can't see. My eyes are all blurry, so I'm trying to look at this.
What you need?
Is it apple Mose?
It's apple Mose. Yes.
Okay. The Mose part is getting all blurry for me. Alrighty. So we got any final questions? Because if not, you need to go get your mouth taken care of. Alrighty, say it with me. You know what to say. Say it with me. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
You can do this.
You can do this.
Why?
Why?
Because you're a pyro artist.
You're a pyro artist.
Happy burning, guys. Bye.
It's getting too spicy for the pepper.
I don't want to get copyright strike for that.